Year 3. So today we're going to be looking at capacity, and we're going to be thinking about adding, subtracting and comparing capacity in millilitres and litres, and then also having a go at converting between the two. Now I know Miss Sutton has done a video for the Year 2s about capacity, so it might be a good idea to have a look at that video first, just to kind of recap what you should already know, and then come back to this one. So for many containers and liquids that you might have at home, on the container it will probably say the capacity, the measurement. So if you can see here, I've got the amount of millilitres there, and I've got some orange juice, and that is measured in litres. So for those things, it's kind of all right, but for things like my water bottles, there isn't any measurement, and actually it'll probably be quite useful to know how much water I'm drinking in a day. So you might be able to find in your house a jug. Now this one's not very clear, but you should be able to see a scale. If I can zoom in there, this one might be a little bit better. Which will tell you the measurement that is in there. Okay, so what I'm going to do, this bottle is completely full, so I'm just going to tip it all in so I can have a measure. Now you can see they're very, very different containers. This one's quite tall and thin, and this one's much, much wider. So let's see how much we can put into here. There we go. So on this jug here, it's got two scales. So I want the one that's got millilitres and litres. I wonder if you can see that there. It's not that clear, but I can tell you that it is about 600 millilitres. I'm just going to write that down, because what I want to do is to compare my water bottles. Which one is going to mean I drink the most? So we've got this one, it's got 600 millilitres. I'm just going to pour this in here just to get it out of the way. So same jug again, but this time I've got my different amount of water. And again, I'm going to tip it in, so then we can measure it. I wonder if, before I look at the measurement, what's your prediction? Which one do you think is going to hold the most water? This purple one or this clear one? So let's see, we've got 600 millilitres. And then if I can, I don't know if you can see there, if I have a look. Now this one is halfway between the 400 and the 600. So hopefully you know that halfway between 400 and 600 is 500. So we've got 500 millilitres, sorry. So I've written them down. So if I was going to compare them, I am going to use those little arrows that we've looked at before, the greater than and less than signs. So 600 and 500, which would you put in there? Is it greater than or less than? Hopefully you've done something like mine. So 600 millilitres is greater than 500 millilitres. Now if you remember that little trick we always say, that it points to the smaller one and the crocodile eats the bigger number. Okay, so if I wanted to drink more water in the day, then this is probably the best one, which this is the one that I use at school, so good choice me. However, we might then be able to do some sums with this. So we've got 500 and 600. If I wanted to know the difference between them, so how much more am I drinking with this purple bottle, what operation am I going to have to use? Hopefully you said subtraction just then. So subtraction finds the difference so we can see which one is more. So I've got my 600 millilitres and I've got my 500 millilitres, so I can subtract them. So 0 take away 0 is 0, and again 5 take away 1. So I've got my answer as 100, but I need to make sure I put my unit of measure in there as well. So we found the difference. So what we then might want to think about is, what if, because actually this is what I've been doing during lockdown, I've been drinking this bottle in the morning and I've been drinking this bottle in the afternoon. So what would we need to do to find out how much water I've been drinking altogether in my day? Hopefully you said addition. So same thing, I've got my measurements that we've just done, 500 to 600, but this time we're going to add them up. So I'm going to start with my units, my tens and my hundreds. So that gives me 1,100 millilitres. Now, we can then think about how we're going to convert some of those measurements. So we need to think about how we can convert some of those measurements then. And I've just written the answer to the calculation that we got earlier, just to help us remember. But this is a fact that we should know. 1,000 millilitres is the same as, so equals 1 litre. Now, that won't always look the same. So if you can see in my cylinder here, it's quite a big one. We've got 1,000 millilitres. So in here, we've got a litre. So in my jug before, you can see that halfway, or about halfway, is my 1,000. So that should be the same as a litre. So I'm just going to pour that in. So you can see we were right, just halfway there. And that is our 1,000 millilitres, or a litre, okay? So to convert, I wonder if you could work out what has happened to this number to get this number. Let's see. So if I've got 1, so 1 litre, and I want to turn it into millilitres, what have I had to do? What have I had to multiply that number by to get our answer? Hopefully you said multiply by 1,000. So 1 times 1,000 equals 1,000. So that's how we convert between that measurement. So for example, if I had 2 litres, so let's say, I actually think I've got a bottle in my fridge here. I've got some lemonade, and in my lemonade, it's not actually full, in my lemonade there are 2 litres, but if I wanted to measure that in millilitres, we'd do the same, we'd multiply by 1,000. So if I've then got 2 litres, I'm going to do the same thing I'm going to times it by 1,000. So 2 times 1,000 gives me, maybe you can work this out yourself, 2,000. So 2,000 millilitres is 2 litres. So if this lemonade bottle was full, we would have 2,000 millilitres in there. So they're really easy examples. I wonder if we can work out some more difficult ones. I'm going to turn my board over. What about if I had 2.5 litres? So we've got 1 litre. I'm going to fill this up again. So we've got another litre. So another 1,000. Oh, a little bit too much. So we've got another 1,000. So here now we've got 1 litre, 1 litre. We've got this other cylinder here. Now this cylinder, it says maximum 500 millilitres. So if you can see, we've got a 5 here. So I'm going to fill this one up. So here, 1 litre, 1 litre, half a litre. So we've got 2.5 litres. So what I have done is I have written out the place value of our 2.5, and I've added some extra columns, because what we do when we multiply by 1,000, because that's how we convert to millilitres, it needs to jump 3 places to the left. So each digit is going to jump 3 places to the left. So we've got our 2 units and our 5 tenths and our decimal place. So each one is going to jump 3 places. So our 2 is going to jump 1, 2, 3. So it's ended up in the thousandths column. Our 5 tenths is going to jump 1, 2, 3. So that's ended up in our hundredths column. So then what do we do now? Because we've got 2 empty spaces. I wonder if you can think. Hopefully you've recognised or you've remembered that we use 0 as a placeholder. So when there isn't another digit to go in there, there has to be something, and that something is going to be the 0 to hold the places. So 2.5 litres is the same as 2,500 millilitres. So I think it would be a good idea for you to have a go at some other examples of where you're converting from the litres to the millilitres. Oh goodness me, I keep saying that. By timesing by 1,000. But before you do that, I would say have a good play around with some of the containers that you have around. Obviously you might not have these in your house, but definitely you can have a go at measuring with watering cans. You might have a selection of glasses and cups and things that you can use. You can always also use saucepans or old cartons or things that you might have in your recycling bin. So yeah, have a go, have a play around, see if you can measure things, maybe with spoons, or if you've got a jug that's got a scale on, maybe you could compare them, predict what you think things might be, the measurement of things might be, and yeah, then have a go at some of these conversions that I'm going to write down for you. Good luck, bye!